I lost my screen in my story diatribe. Oh, well, bring it back up. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Historic District Commission for June 5th, 2025 for the city of Saugatuck. First item is roll call. Sarah, would you help us with that?
Here. Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Lampkin. Here. Root. Here. Patterson.
Here.
And Straker.
Here. We have quorum. Are there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions tonight from staff? All good? For the minutes, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the meeting held on May 1st, 2025? And if so, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from last week's it's not April 3rd, is it? Is it
Close, May 1st.
May 1st. This is April 3rd.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yeah.
Opposed? Okay. Is there any public comments on agenda items tonight? No one on screen. Okay. No unfinished business, correct?
Oh, sorry, no. Yeah.
Okay, and if not, we'll move right into new business. The first application is 611 Lake Street for an accessory structure. Do we have an app? Hi, how are you? Come on up. Please introduce yourself. I know we've met you, but just for the record.
Jason Haywood, I'm with Signature Outdoor and with Lisa Corey, the homeowner at 611.
Thank you. Appreciate your application. Is there anything beyond what we've read in the application or you provided that you want to add?
Nope. I think the application showed that we're off the building offset and we have a small sauna structure that is going to match the aesthetic of the existing home.
Okay, great. We'll start this way to see if anyone has any questions around the application. Any clarifying questions or comments? Leah, anything? Louise, you can pass too.
I'll pass.
Okay.
I appreciate the thorough submission. I do not have any questions.
Thank you. Russ?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thanks for being here. So looking at the renderings or the 3D that you provided to us on page 14, it's that unit to the left, right? Excuse me. It's the unit to the left, correct? As we're looking at straight on.
That is.
So it's pretty imperceptible from my perspective from a streetscape, because that's literally the streetscape. We talked about this at our last meetings, that we think about the street as the paved road, but really this is the streetscape because there's a lot of boaters and people that enjoy the water are going to see. So from my perspective, it's congruent with the property and the fact that you've already noted that you're going to make the siding fit in, and if the 3D rendering represents what we're looking at, I have no issues with it at all. I do remember though, Luke, that there was some question. Didn't this come to us and it was pulled at the last minute?
Yeah, so it was pulled because of fears that it wouldn't meet zoning requirements, and so they moved the location so that it would.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it was about twice the size as far as width, and it was between the shed and what we call the boathouse.
essentially it was
but it
within the
was-
side setback.
Yes, it was inside the side setback, so we
Yeah.
moved it to this location and downsized accordingly.
And it is now not within any setbacks.
Good. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Well, I didn't have any question. The only question I have, this is gonna be a flat roof?
So it has an aluminum trim piece that runs, and then it does have a slight offset
Okay.
back towards would be the street side. And the idea is that we will actually match that, we will overlay that with a cedar roof and match the
Existing
boathouse
roof of
as
the-
well.
okay.
Yeah,
It was
so the exact details of that, it's a newer product, so we want to get our hands on it before we know exactly what that's going to do, but we're trying to match that aesthetic because Lisa will see that from her breakfast nook. So we want to make sure that it looks good.
Keith, no questions. John?
A couple questions. Can this be seen from the roadside, roadside, not the water side? Can you see the top of this structure? I see there's looks like a cellar kind of entrance there or something behind it.
Yeah, so the driveway you can see is set back a few feet from that, and the sauna actually sits about 18 inches lower than the driveway elevation at that point. So you'll probably see the top side of that one corner, but that's a planting bed between the sauna and the road that has existing trees in it now that are taller than that structure will be. So those will block that.
I don't have a problem with the structure, but I question the use of siding materials because it looks like an appendage on the home. And I think it changes the shape of the home. Without, for someone not studying it, it seems awkward to me to make it the siding color, like it should be its own material. I only have a problem with the material, not the sauna itself.
Our thinking on that was because it's actually inset to the home just a few inches, and then it's because there's a copper downspout that runs right down that edge, so we're kind of inset just around that. So we're trying to line up that so that it does look like it is kind of an offset of the house that's continuing. So it was purposeful to do it that way as far as the siding
Show
choice
that again.
goes. So.
Just the rendering.
Oh,
It's on third.
Oh, with the one you were on
Oh,
before.
this one?
Boy, it feels like, from this angle, it feels like part of the house to me. And I just think it affects the scape, the streetscape, the waterscape. Am I the only one that has an issue with that?
Sure. Are we looking at how it looks from the water and how it looks from the home? I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
It's like both, I think in the district it is, and we have been pretty consistent on this, that street and water are considered sort of the same elevation in terms of importance. Whereas if this were across the street on Lake, it would be mostly the primary elevation of street that we consider.
You saying you would like to see hatch.
Yes.
I can see it one there.
and John, by a different color or?
I think there's some wood on the
materials?
gazebo pool thing. What else? What other materials are there? If you flip that around, don't we have a rendering of another
I think in the
structure?
last application, we might have,
I remember it. There was some wood elements. Weren't there?
I think that's what you were referring to, Megan, right? The, Bigger.
They're the only structure that has a different material type is actually a kind of a natural pergola on the lake side. That's a very small detail, but it's on the lake side attached to the boathouse.
This isn't the lakeside. This is the lakeside.
This is the lake side.
Yeah,
So
I
there's a
just wanna-
boathouse behind
I
that.
want to see it.
It's behind.
I want to see that.
I don't think you have that.
So that's the actual.
You don't have
sauna
it?
finished
It's
in
from the
black.
last application.
Yeah.
That's the actual
There
sauna.
you go.
You got it.
So that actual
So
sauna,
that shed and the boathouse, if you scroll down, you'll see the boathouse. You
We
got
don't-
it.
we don't have
So
the rendering.
all of those are finished in the signature. It's all white siding.
but the roof and some of the beams or something are wood? No?
No.
They're wood?
Cedar shake roof on the,
Okay.
on the farmhouse.
Well, that sauna is beautiful in its own right, and the dark color that it's shown in is different than the house?
The dark, it comes in a black, it also comes in a wood, cedar. We were planning on painting it white, we thought that it would look better white to, like all the other structures on them.
Yeah.
But it comes in cedar, I mean, the way it's honest, the picture he has there is also a black.
Yeah, if you go to the sauna actual photo, that's how it comes pre-finished. It either comes in black or.
Or all cedar?
Well, did you have something else, Leah, that you were gonna say? Or?
No, I mean, I can see what John's saying, and, you know, clarity
Yeah.
from the water as well,
I think from the water, you're definitely going to be able to tell that it's not attached to the house. From the street side, because there's a group of plantings that that hides the gap between the house and the sonnet itself, that's may look from when you're looking from the street side, from that corner, you may feel like that's attached again, because the plantings hide that. But you're only seeing a very small sliver of the outside corner at that point.
Yeah, that's why I asked my first question. I wondered how much could be seen. I
Yeah,
mean,
from the lakeside, you're gonna be able to tell. You'll be able to see the gap, you'll be able to see the window detail. You'll be able to tell that that's,
well, for me, it's not part of the house and shouldn't be an appendage on the house. And it has a flat roof and it's just different. So I would make it different and I would be fine with it, like it comes. I'd be fine with that. But that's my only
Yeah,
comment.
it's a tough one because, Sarah, can you go back up to the exterior view from the street?
Yep.
Thank you. Like I don't have as much problem from the water actually, as because when you consider the blue house to the right and sort of the blockiness of all those structures, I know what you're saying and I agree with you philosophically, but I almost don't want to introduce a third thing on the side of that that looks different. I'm afraid it'll look like an outhouse or something. Like it's such a like small, tall thing that if we don't make it blend into the house, I'm worried that it would stand out too much. But I think you're right to not want it to want it to appear different than the house. It's a non-contributing structure, by the way. So our goal with non-contributing structures is usually to not make them more non-contributing. So that's what should guide us.
Concerned, John, that with the placement, that it makes it more non-contributing.
No, my concern is it changes the shape of the home itself. It looks like a piece of the home. I don't think it should be sided to look like the home. It's not an addition. It's a different structure. I'm seeing, those shutters black. Is the front door black or is that just the shadows?
Yeah.
Because black is a logical thing for me. It kind
well,
of goes away.
it's going to have a black trim. The trim details will remain black. Those are aluminum trim details. They will remain black. So you will see the black detail again, which is consistent with the colors of the home already.
Yeah.
So again, and I think from the one vantage point, and this isn't it, it's the other vantage
Yeah.
point looking down that drive, again, you're going to see, my guess is less than a foot of the outside corner of that structure only
Mhm.
from one vantage point. So I think we're talking about a very minimal vantage point there.
And I acknowledge too that you guys were likely thinking you're doing the right thing by making it look
Yeah.
like blend in with the house. So I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Not to add an additional element.
It's a tough
So-
one. Yeah.
So it's one of these spaces where, we're trying to be, we're always trying to be consistent with what's there and making it blend to the existing property and the existing material choices.
Yep.
So all along with all of the material choices that we choose for the pool material, the tiles, the plaster colors, the stone, it was all consistent with the pre-existing design. So
Say something
this is
else.
staying consistent with that design intent.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Canarsa's point on this. It is a bit of a conundrum. So I went back to 1B in our standards. Item B is the compatibility of the exterior of the structure and the space around it with the visual or historical context of the surrounding area. So as I read that, I see your point, because if the structure itself is the house, and then this is an additional structure, should that add or detract from the house itself? In this case, the attempt is to make it to be more, to be in congruence with the structure, but to your point, it's like, you really want to add to it. So I appreciate I could go either way. I think I maybe start to go toward Commissioner Canarsa's opinion on this. For the reasons, for the standard that we're asked to measure this against, and as well as just kind of the philosophical. And it sounds like the owners are, and again, the unit's gonna come in a natural cedar anyway, so that would just be,
Or black, they said.
or black, excuse me.
Either of those seems fine to me, personally.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
Oh, you can't get in.
It was an option when, I mean, this
Oh.
has been going on for 6
Yeah.
months. And, yeah, no, it's the cedar one is with the doors that open, that it is available to be shipped, ready to be shipped tomorrow if we get approval.
And
Um,
it's natural cedar.
It is natural cedar. It is
That's-
not, so
that's
the
how
black
it's-
is not, I don't know.
Oh,
how
but
long
I-
that would
yeah.
be.
I think the natural cedar's good too, because it separates it from the house.
Right.
Both of those things separate it from the house, and natural, nothing says sauna like natural cedar, why?
Right, right.
And I thought there was some of that in the ceiling of the outbuilding too, because I remember there was a lot more of it and we suggested last time to remove some of it, but some of it stayed. And it seems like that would balance out if that's still the case.
The only thing in the, there's a cedar roof on the shed and on the bunker.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only cedar there is. Everything
Oh.
else is white.
So there's a little connection then to cedar,
Honestly,
no?
no.
little.
I mean,
It's definitely going to stand out
It-
more
Okay.
if we do it in a natural cedar. If we
Okay,
don't,
yeah.
if we don't paint it white to match the rest of the space, it's going to stand out at the roadside and the lakeside for that.
Especially with, like you brought up the house next door. We've got a lot of colors going on. It's a lot of stuff. I personally think it needs to just go away, and it will in white. That's why we picked.
Is there any planting opportunity on the street side?
There's a lot of planting.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and again, the way that it's planted out, it's not shown on your drawing, but in this landscape drawing, these trees exist here, and they're already taller than that existing structure. So, and again, so you're not going to see very much of that, and if we need to replace those. And with the juniper or something that stands and is a little wider, that's absolutely fine, we could make it disappear from the street side.
I think the core of the argument for us is after this is done.
Yeah.
After this is done, do you want to look at it and say, look, they added a sauna? Or do you want to look at it and say, look, they added a little room? Like,
Can I just be devil's advocate for a second? And I just want to provide clarity. So we can't technically weigh in on color, but we can weigh in on materiality.
Mhm.
And the building is coming in cedar. And there's nothing really that would state that if the building comes, they couldn't paint it, right? The building is wood.
Mhm.
So that, I mean, past precedent would say that. So I just want to point that out because as we state approvals, that's, I think, within the,
color usually only comes in when you're trying to like figure out ways to distinguish new from old. And like it can be a tool to do that, but you're right. So we would maybe say in your toolbox of distinguishing new from old, you could paint it a different color, but we wouldn't require them to do that.
So they're saying they could order and see on the meeting.
if they are ordering it in cedar.
It is.
I mean,
But they're putting siding on.
No,
no,
no, see, it's
Oh.
cedar. We were staining it.
It's
white.
Oh, you're not putting siding?
No, no, no.
I thought you.
painting.
It's already cedar.
We're staining it.
Well,
Staining,
my
that's it.
point is,
Right,
my point is the materiality is cedar.
correct.
Hmm.
That's how it's coming. They're talking about, they're gonna change the color.
The rendering, the rendering shows it, it looks just like the siding, like the lines are the same and everything. That was my biggest concern, was that it looked exactly like the siding. If it's just
So-
painted
so-
white,
It's actually, so the seat, again, we're talking about 3D imaging program, we don't
Yeah.
get so many options there. But it comes with a lap style natural cedar, and it has the aluminum trim and the black. So that, the house actually isn't cedar siding, it's already
Right,
siding,
right.
right? So it is different.
It's gonna be different.
Than the house.
I just
It will
wanted
just
to
be
provide
staying
clarity,
the
so I
same.
think.
Yeah,
there
it's a good
was
point.
some-
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
It's not attached, right?
It is not.
Yeah.
it just looks like it
Is
is.
that?
It's just close enough. that it looks like.
In this picture.
So
now,
I'm so.
Yeah, just because of the door mechanism and that glass panel, and you're only gonna see that much of it, but you can also see that gap from the lakeside. You can't see it from the.
From this
roadside.
side.
And you said that. Yeah, I missed that too. All right, Russ, you can say something.
Yeah,
Very much look like a sauna from the lakeside,
yeah,
from the street side,
In the interior, because it has a glass door, is cedar,
it's also.
right? So I just wanna make sure we're all talking about the same thing.
Good call.
could we jump down to 20, please? And remember 17, whatever slide that was. So here's the image from the manufacturer. So are the doors going to be, because in the image that we saw previously, the doors look black? Are these gonna be,
They're actually tinted glass, so they will be a tinted version of that glass door.
They're not tinted. they're
Oh,
clear.
you ordered
They're
clear?
No,
Oh,
no, they
okay.
didn't. We looked at 6 different signs because of where this were going, and so I understand why
Okay,
you.
so it's clear.
They are clear
Okay.
glass and it's cedar inside. I can probably pull up.
The image you're
That-
looking at, the rendering is like a void. They did that to look
Got
like
it.
a void of glass.
This is the.
it's the one, it should be similar to what we're seeing here, right?
Yeah, this is the exact thing.
Yeah, okay, very good, because I'm sorry.
That's how it's going.
Right,
how it-
yeah, so where I'm going with this is that you go back to the page 16, please. If it's gonna be so where I'm looking at is again, from the visual context of this, is that it's gonna look as pretty similar to the windows that are not tinted. That's where I'm going with this is, that makes sense what I'm.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, did I have the wrong page? So here, so it sounds like once the final unit goes in, it's gonna very much have the same look in terms of windows. Even though it's not a window, it's a door, but you understand what I'm saying? Is that it's not gonna look incongruent with the other glass that's there. Maybe a shade different, but
If we were to.
You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it's all the same. This rendering basically depicts all the same void that glass is. I don't know that that's
Yeah,
a
you
super
see it,
contributing
yeah.
factor.
so.
I hear what you're saying. If we were to start this over again and we said it was a freestanding sauna that's very close to the house that comes in cedar and its own materiality, that has a small gap that will be shielded from the road by plants, and you may paint it white. Does that change this for anyone? Because that's basically a reinterpretation of, I mean, the application pretty much says that. It's just the nuance.
Right.
It's fine. What were you thinking? Not sure.
So basically, we're, from the lake, we're just proving that this. Looks, looks good from the lake, doesn't look.
So anytime we're weighing in, if it's a non-contributing structure, we are assessing whether what is being added makes it more non-contributing or is in keeping with the existing structure.
And a differentiator for me is if they sell the house tomorrow, somebody could pick this up and move it away. And to me, that's not part of the structure. So, whether I think it's successful from the water looking in and going, oh, look, there's a sauna versus, oh, look, they added a whatever. It's almost better that it's not going to live forever in terms of the decision we need to make.
So based on your preference, would you want it white so it looks like the house, or you?
I think it goes away. I think that it could look like you said, like an outhouse, like if it, I think it'll just go away, just be white with glass doors. And it's just,
I think it'll look really good from the lakeside, because you're gonna see through that glass, you're gonna see that it's a sauna, it'll be purposeful in that way. Connected to the pool space and then from the 2 side views, it'll look consistent with the house and kind of just blend to the aesthetic. And then from the roadside, we're basically planting that in a way that you're gonna see very little of it anyway, so.
I feel like from the water, if it's painted white, if you end up painting it white, it's gonna look like a doorway to somewhere.
Right, and if you go to the sauna picture, you can actually see that it's very, very little white from the front perspective, because you got black trim on the sides and you got the interior door. So you're seeing literally 3 inches of white on each side of that door.
From the lake.
It's from the lake, because it's only 5'4" wide total.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
It's very small.
Right.
I want an 8x8.
Does anybody else have questions or comments or more dialogue? Or would you like to assemble a motion?
Will always has his written pad.
Sorry.
That's good.
I still sleep at the wheel.
I just have one more
Yeah.
question. Cause I now see this elevation and maybe this is helpful, maybe it's not, maybe I'm. You know. So is it your understanding that this like 3.5 inch trim on each side and that all that around the top will be the flat?
Correct.
And then, okay, so there's
That
very
little-
little that would, you know, from that street side, it's like probably 2.5 inches max, that would be, you know.
Yep.
And you might get it in cedar and love it. But really, we can't weigh in on
We
the.
built the cedar first, so it will be
Point.
placed there looking in its natural.
And I
state.
apologize. I wanted to see that other building. I was mixing it up with another property on Lake Street that does have an open gazebo that we approved that had some cedar on it. It's just a couple doors down, but he reminded me, and that's why I wanted to see so I could reference it, but it's over there.
Easy to confuse.
Yeah. Yeah, you just thought it was the same house too? I could have sworn, but I remember this one now. It has the outbuilding instead. Yep.
But from a materiality standpoint, it is wood.
Okay.
Perfect.
So ready to make a motion?
Go for it.
So I move to approve the sauna in the rear yard of 611 Lake Street to accordance with the plans and details submitted within the application materials. There's no foul, there's no condition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? All right, we're passed. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Thanks.
working with us.
Thank you.
Next is, 660 Lake Street. Mr. Murphy, hello. Come on up. Is anyone else here from?
No,
Yep,
just me.
okay, just you. Anything you want to add that's not already in the
Really, I
packet?
think it's, pretty cut and dried. The garage got destroyed by a tree. And so now we're gonna put a new one up. Everything's gonna be, we're gonna use Dutch shiplap. I was gonna bring a sample. Nobody has it in stock. But I can get it. So we're gonna use a wood Dutch shiplap. The windows will be wood. Obviously smooth doors on the garage and smooth doors on the entrance door to that. Standard asphalt shingle roof. The trim will all be a wood trim. Or a smooth trim, whatever, but I mean, the LP
Yeah,
smooth,
yeah,
which I do have a sample of the LP smooth with me.
in Dutch lab.
Yeah, the Dutch lap will just be
Yeah.
regular Dutch lap wood.
Yeah.
But the trim would be the LP smooth, and I have a sample that I carry around with me.
We have LP smooth corners, trim,
Yes.
fascia,
Mhm.
soffit.
Yes.
Want to start on this end? John, do you have any questions or clarifying comments?
Not now, no.
No questions.
I just had a question on is the siding on the garage door side the same as the siding?
It's all the same siding, yeah.
Siding.
It may not
Like,
just,
was
be
that-
perspective from the
Okay.
CAD drawing probably didn't
That
show
was
it,
my only
but
question.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah, good evening, Patrick. Good to see
Hey.
you. So looking at page 24. I have fond memories of this house because this was Ray Rasmussen's house when I was a kid. My grandfather was good friends with him, so. The old door on there used to have an R in the screen door for Rasmussen. Yeah, so that's kind of my memory of it. And looking at this picture, you'll see that that was the garage that was destroyed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So make sure I understand the elevations that we were provided. So it's proposing to change the location of the garage, number
Mhm.
one. Number two is to change the entrance to the garage to the south, whereas this one is.
no, it's gonna be straight on.
Still straight on.
Oh, because that,
The reason we pushed it back, I'll tell you, is a lot of more for safety reasons. Because it's just terrible trying to get out on the Lake Street. You have to back
Yeah.
out all the time. And since we had the space to go back, we'll be able to go back. And if you look at the site plan, they can then back out of the garage and turn and go pull straight out on the Lake Street.
Also, if I can add there, that was likely necessary from a zoning point of view because the garage there is definitely within the side setbacks. And so
Non-conforming.
we, because obviously that's gone now, that it needs to conform. So they actually had to bring it over anyway.
Okay.
So-
Can you do me a favor and go back up to the page where it showed the elevations? So this may be where I got confused. Yep, you just back out, yep. So it shows the south elevation being the garage, which is be the south facing elevation, is that right?
Facing the street.
It's facing the street.
Wouldn't that be the west elevation?
Yeah, I mean, I always get,
I get confused. I'm gonna tell you, in town
Yeah.
sometimes
It
I
is
get
just-
confused.
Oh, okay.
It's facing the street.
It is sort of southwest, to be
Yeah,
fair.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole house, yeah.
Okay, because where I'm going with this is that from the street, it's gonna be a new structure, but it's still gonna be, even though it's been moved because of the things that you just mentioned. The cars are still gonna enter and exit the building from the same,
Correct.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, and then the other question is in terms of the actual design itself. So the garage that was destroyed actually had, and I'll have to ask some of my architectural friends here to describe this. But you'll see that the door to the left of the garage door itself, the roof is,
shed roof.
yeah, is that what it's called? A shed
Kind of,
roof?
yeah.
And the old structure, Russ?
Yes. Yeah, and so the proposal is to make it without that, yeah. Now, I do have memory, and I don't know if my memory's right on this, but when I was a kid, I think there was a garage there, but so the garage that we're looking at in this picture on page 24 was probably a replacement of something I have in memory as a kid. Could be, I don't know, but the point I'm making is that I'm a little concerned that the proposal is which I think that, what's it called?
Shed.
The shed roof was part of the architectural, what's the word here?
Character.
Character?
So that side, from what, if I remember right, going in there, I was in there once or twice. It looks like they may have added that shed on at some point
That
after
could
the
very well
garage was
be.
built to store stuff. That's
Could
my guess.
Could
Looked
very
like
well
it used
be.
to be a one car and they did that.
Yeah, they did that just to store things because there was no other place. There's no basement on the house. It's crawl.
Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Well, so you're saying the application doesn't quite look compatible
Correct.
because of what it was? Okay.
But to Patrick's point, that was an add-on apparently. So, I don't know. So that would be
Okay.
my,
Megan?
I would agree that the new structure is lacking in character from what was there. And I understand the reasoning behind the 2-car and the space and all of that. But I wonder, could the style of the door, even the entry door be more in keeping with what was previously there?
Which are they, the single door?
The door,
yeah, it had 3 lights on it.
I could get a wood door for that probably easily. Mhm. The garage doors are tough trying to get them smooth. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. I could get a door that was similar to the other one for that. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you guys. I actually saw the tree. It was me and.
Oh, yeah.
And the car, and the Mercedes was inside of it.
Yeah, it has a
Yeah.
car inside
I
too.
saw that. I think this house is so cute. So as, I love how it's saying, they call it cozy cottage. It totally is. I think the old garage had a ton of character.
Yes.
And I think the new one is sort of clean. And that's when I was looking through, I thought, like maybe the different garage door, you see. The one next door with the windows in it, I don't know, it just looks very plain to me.
I have one thing, and I was gonna say this before, it reminds me of a garage in the suburbs of Chicago.
Yes.
That you would see, and I'm struggling with how to not falsely replicate history, to your other point. But could there be some modifications on the roof line, like, for example, an extended eave? And to make it look, I don't know, we crossing the line into false sense of,
No, I mean, it's a
History.
contributing structure and we've always put kind of a high emphasis on the honesty of outbuildings and the fact that outbuildings are kind of going away. I will my initial impression is that the renderings are not doing you any favors, because I think when you like look at it with Dutch lap and you start like dialing into it, it probably, it elevates it up a little bit, but on one hand, like I love this approach because it's humble. Like, and the cottage to me is humble and not fancy. But whereas it reminded you of a Chicago, it reminded me of a garage added in the country somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the windows are my biggest thing on the side, on the west elevation, not so much the east, because that's,
The triple window.
well, that's what doesn't feel as considered as maybe it could be. Even if you look at the north elevation and that little single double hung in the back, which is what would be the back, right? Like it gets lost on that huge span, but like that feels like an old double hung in an old garage. But those three like barn windows at that placement on the west side next to another contributing structure is what makes it sort of feel suburban.
Should we make it a double hung windows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Yeah, like.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
If it is
like
increased.
two double hungs that feels a little more
Mhm.
farm outbuilding or something that I hear what you guys are saying about character. I had the same thing. I was trying to squint and like if there were a 3-window half door like was there before and maybe 2 separated double hungs on that side with Dutch lap
Mhm.
with non-stamped LP trim, it starts to bring it back. I'm kind of glad you did a really plain garage door.
That's a tough one today because,
They're hard,
because we have to get a smooth finish, right?
right?
You can't get a wood door pretty say unless you're gonna go with the stained door, which you don't do that, so it's tough to get smooth, so that's what we did, but the windows, I have no issue with going with double hungs on the side and things like that, if you feel that gives them more character. I probably don't totally disagree with that on the elevations. I think I would probably put them on both elevations if I was gonna do them, just because it's just more balance.
Yeah.
And as I look at this again, sorry for taking my glasses off to get close. I don't have a nice screen like Megan's got next door. The lighting, so the lighting, I believe, was just a standard drop, I don't know my terms here, but a light over the door itself, right?
Yeah.
Over the garage door, no light over the,
Maybe Lou can pull that.
Yeah,
33. Oh.
it's,
That's what I'm-
yeah, it's kind of,
Elevation, 2 sconces.
oh yes, there's a light over the door and there's a light over the garage door itself. If I
There's
can.
more room though above the
Yeah,
garage.
So where I'm going is that the elevations show different lighting, and I think we should remain consistent with what was there before.
well, the challenge is it was a gable light over the garage door, which I think it might have been like a gooseneck something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And it was
nothing-
probably
and nothing fancy.
No, it was
Just
probably
a-
beside the door. I bet it was like a jelly jar, like
Mhm.
some sort of really simple. I didn't take the lighting proposal on the rendering as gospel because I don't think anyone would actually place those there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a gooseneck something over the door and
Yeah.
not, and omit the sconce to the right, the
Yep.
sconce to the left is bad.
Yep.
So, you could have your opportunity for the previous character over the.
You have that picture, the
man.
original?
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's 24. You could move the sconce.
Yeah, so they have, they call them barn lights sometimes or.
I'm saying that. I don't know if what was there. I just imagine that's probably
Can't see.
like that.
But that was charming.
So-
So.
Let me ask you this, speaking of the door then. If I got a door like that, a wood door, if you look at the picture, I'm sorry. I could get a wood door like that with the 3 panes of glass.
I mean, that elevation's so interesting because if you did that on the garage and then if you look ironically, there's 2 separated double hungs in this on the house to that point on the other, like you're starting to like mirror without copying.
Right.
At least it's,
And it still feels humble
yeah,
in a way that it needs to. Don't want it to outshine the home,
yeah, yep. I'm just, and I
I should separate the windows and do 2.
Yeah.
One,
double,
2 double hungs on each side, separated.
Yeah.
Okay.
similar
That's
to
on.
that elevation.
Like the side elevation of the house, that's cool, I like that.
and I mean, more than anything, I appreciate that the owner didn't try to but a carriage house, you know, or something that really
And
eclipses.
the other issue here is if you think about it, when, as Luke said, since we're gonna be over because we're gonna be
Yep.
inside the building envelope now, you're not gonna see but a little bit of the garage coming up from Lake Street.
The other thing I just picked up that's different is I'm probably saying this the wrong way, but a roof line. In the old garage, you're driving with a peak this
was a
way,
gable,
and the
because it
new
was a-
one is that way, and is that changing it anyway? Cause I would,
Yeah,
Just
I think
different.
it has to be kind of.
For a two car.
If it did, it would get way too tall out behind the house, so it really needs to go that way.
okay,
I'd be
Right,
happy.
and then if you look at the front elevation of the house, I mean, it's in keeping with how the house is done as well.
Correct.
I mean, it's adorable
That's
as it
true,
was,
okay.
but to get that, like, it wouldn't work.
And Will, to your question earlier about like the overhangs and things, like there's not much overhang on the house.
that's true, I just
So-
noticed that, okay. Good point.
So can you go back to the rendering? I'll just make my comment now. The man door has glass in it. Garage door could be painted a different color, it could be, you know, I like the simplicity of the main door being no glass, not having competing, but the man door having glass. And the sconces definitely don't work in there. You could move the one that's on the far left to the other side of the door. It still serves the man door, but then it's, if you can get them equal on each side of the garage door.
So what you're saying is, oh, I see what you're saying, move the one on the left to the, I got you, balance.
So
it.
that it balance,
Outside-
because and then there's also a step there where the door is smaller anyway,
Yeah.
so it might balance it out. It's worth
Oh, I
looking at.
I can see that, John.
Yeah. But I like the Dutch lap. I like the white. It probably matches the trim of the house.
Mhm.
Then it all ties together. The overhangs match, the double hungs on the side. Definitely not the three windows, because that feels like a new house.
Mhm.
But I think the simplicity is good.
Okay.
Anyone, yeah.
I'm still struggling with the elevations. So the gables are gonna be north-south now instead of east-west, like.
They're gonna be just like they are now, I think. You want to change it, you do.
So, Russ, on
You see
this,
what I'm struggling with?
on this elevation, it's gonna be positioned exactly like the house next to
It'll
it.
be a two-stall instead of a one-stall though.
Two stall and it's positioned, it will kind of read the same as that garage reads from the street.
My computer's not loading very well, so I don't have. Yep.
So,
The south elevation is the street side, what you will see. in the-
Right, and I just keep thinking that's the west elevation in my mind, so anyway, I'm there now.
and their west elevation is what you would see from the house to the left.
So the garage that's in this picture is the one that's owned by the one house next door.
Correct. I mean, it's an interest, that's also, by the way, an interesting study in scale,
Contrast
because,
and, yeah,
because that is such a contributing property that, like, this garage not only needs to complement its
Mhm.
own contributing residents, but it's the contributing residents there, you know, it has to sort of hold its own to that. And I think that suggestions we're making probably do that more. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I can do that.
You don't mind?
Wait, I can read it on my. Okay. Okay, move to approve the new detached garage with the recommended amendments being. Wood door with a similar light as previous structure. Two double hung windows versus the three more like picture windows shown. To match the side of the existing home in placement. All other elements proposed look good. Good.
Are we putting the lights in there or not?
Let's get a second. And then we'll discuss.
I'll second.
Okay, Discussion? Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to-
No, I was just gonna say, do we put the lights in the exceptions? Was that something that you're recommending?
We could put a choice.
Like I could provide some of the light selections that we pick, if that's
I think it
something.
would be more, well,
Placement.
should be in placement.
Yeah, well, we're gonna move the placement, that's part of what John said, I did, now I look at it, I can't
Well, why don't,
unsee that.
Right.
why don't you make, how about if the motion on lighting includes the applicant's choice of placement, either one light over the door and to the right of the garage, or lights to the right and left of the garage?
I'm probably gonna do the one to the left, I do them both, because they have to have one close to the man door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the door.
Okay, so if I put it on the inside, I'll be fine.
Well, I'm saying it's like this or like this.
Well, I would say I was saying omit the right side one and just
Oh.
have the gooseneck.
I have to have a door by the garage, by that man door, I have to have a light.
I
Yeah.
mean, over the man door.
Oh, okay, well.
So the gooseneck goes over the man door because you need it for code, but no other lights. That's what I was recommending.
I see what you're
Sorry,
saying.
though.
Okay.
So that would be one option. Or both sides would make them on the same plane.
How about are you guys okay if we just give the applicant the choice of one light over the door or two lights on
Okay.
either side of the garage door, which would be to code to the door? Sarah, is that
Right.
tracking with us?
Yep.
Okay, we're being complicated. Okay, is there anything else to add to that? Okay, thank you. All in favor signify by saying yes. Yes, opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Murphy.
Thanks, guys. You know, night.
You too. Luke, we see the administrative approvals. Anything you want to mention? All self-explanatory?
All pretty simple, small stuff.
Okay. Is there any communication?
I do have
Sorry,
one
I didn't see
question.
it.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. So item C, B, 8C, the sandwich board sign.
Mhm.
Did the city give the property owner permission to place a sandwich sign? Because there've been some discussions a couple of years ago when he first opened his establishment. He was putting a sandwich board sign out on the corner of Culver and Griffith.
Okay.
Does he have a permit to put his sandwich boards? Because generally sandwich boards, with exceptions, are not permitted. So
No,
there's-
sandwich boards are permitted.
Yeah, well,
There's a few regulations, like, you know, they gotta be 3.5 feet and they gotta be a certain, you know, you have to have 6 foot of clearance for people to walk, right? But we do issue a permit for them, yeah.
okay, because and again, if I'm not recalling this correctly, he was putting a sandwich board up at the corner of Griffith and Lake.
Hmm.
For Culver, correct?
Yeah,
Not in
it's
front
gotta
of
be
the-
in front of your storefront,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that is, and again, that's not a historic district commission issue, but just from a zoning standpoint, because that had been something
Yeah.
that's been an
I-
issue.
Yeah, I've had a couple of, I've responded, I've done some enforcement on that kind of thing where someone's putting a sign out, you know, at a corner to sort of try to direct. You can't do that, but you absolutely can have one in front of your storefront, and that is
Okay,
that's
yeah,
where
so
this one is.
Yeah, I just, okay, so I stand corrected when I made my statement, but just something to keep an eye on too. And then the other,
Absolutely, I will.
and then the other thing that comes into mind on the sandwich boards is we seem to be all over the board, no pun intended, in terms of the design and whether they're made out of metal.
Mhm.
This one looks like it was purchased off the shelf, or you've got ones that are made out of wood. For instance, the one that's down at the, which was a special license given to, I forget the name of the shop down at Water Street, to direct people down to Water Street at the corner of Butler and Main.
Brown.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, as we go forward, do we want to try to be a bit more consistent in terms of the materials? Maybe not necessarily what's on the sign itself, but the materials used? Or is he, because they seem to be pretty eclectic at this point, so anyway, I just bring that up as a,
I don't know that because it's not a permanent thing attached to a building.
okay,
Or even attached to a sidewalk. I don't know that the HDC would really have a point of view on that.
okay. I just bring it up because it's kind of got me thinking about it as we saw it, so thank you.
Yep.
Communication wise, I did want to note that our next meeting is July 3rd. Not an issue for me, but obviously some people may be traveling for the 4th. I don't know. So if that's something,
Be away in your Airstream.
No. We'll be sitting in
Or-
there.
Does anyone want to?
Propose a different time, maybe, if that would be helpful for folks. Versus like a 6 PM meeting on the third.
Again, it's
Do we have applications yet?
Yeah, maybe.
no, no, we don't.
Maybe we try to do it at 5 instead of 6 that night? Was that?
Or I was thinking like a breakfast meeting.
I don't know that I have applications, but I think I am talking to people who intend to apply. And
You have this.
you can change it to whenever you want.
I think that's could be a good idea. 'Cause it's gonna be.
If people like knock off early and don't want, cause the next day's a holiday, I'm just thinking.
I don't know that we can do it in the morning or the day, like, because of people working. I think we have to like, not us, but like applicants, but I'm good with, we try for 5. Especially if there's no applications now, there's probably not going to be 5 by then. So it's probably still just like 1 application. So we could do it for everyone's sake be done by 6 instead of starting by 6. Is that maybe better?
Or could we just say, let's plan for 5 and consider earlier even, if people feel like that might be something they're interested in.
I think we have to do a public notice though. I think like, because people, if they want to attend the meeting, I think
Oh, okay.
we have to be careful with that, right?
Yeah, and we
Looking at you guys.
would denote that on the agenda packet, which is released, a week early.
Well, right, but I'm saying we can't decide that at the last minute.
Oh, no, we couldn't on the day. Yeah.
All in favor, like a lunch meeting? I don't know, I'm just thinking like, am I the only one who cares? I'm just thinking if people are trying to get out of town or it just gives you options, that's all.
I care more about tonight. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
I have a dinner we're
I
waiting for.
don't think we can do that.
Okay.
I don't want for the city to be under fire for making last minute decisions or moves that an applicant or somebody wanting to listen to something like a neighbor that they can't attend.
Right. Let's
Yeah.
leave it.
I understand where
It's fine.
Megan's coming
Yeah,
from
I do too.
because it's the night before a holiday, big travel day. So I would almost suggest we move the meeting back a week.
Yeah,
To the
or
following
just do the
Thursday.
next week,
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
that makes more
Okay.
sense.
That is a zoning board of appeals meeting, but I don't have any applications for that yet. I will know that we will miss the deadline for that in like a week. So I could plan on that and then confirm that with Tim next week.
Let's do that.
And then,
That way it takes all those
Okay.
issues off.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because we can give so much notice
Yeah.
for everyone involved, especially if there's no applications. Yeah, but if it's too close to the time, I mean, we've had neighbors who have really complained because the meeting moved. And we weren't notified.
No, don't move it to the sun board.
Okay,
No,
any public comment on the
wait,
phone?
One clarification. Are you talking about moving it to the 26th?
No.
No,
The
the 10th.
The
10th.
10th?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Any
You
public?
said 10th of July, okay.
I do one comment. It's gonna be very quick. I'd like to get back on track to discuss the replacement of our historic district
I know,
signs.
we do need to do that.
I-
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Next week.
Yeah, they're about as old as the historic district. I think they're original.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion. to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Yes?
Yeah.
No? Okay,
So you're.
thanks all.
All right. Thank you, too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.